The general theme is how does it feel to be a hypocrite?
Right. Well, he sounds like a royal dirtbag.
I was wrong about something.
Magnificent! Magnificent! Magnificent!
If we can be with ourselves, if we can understand ourselves, we can love.
It's not my fault nobody can understand what you're saying.
Let's go while we're young.
3, 2, 1. Just introduce yourself and tell me what you ate for breakfast.
Hey, good morning. I am Matt, and I didn't eat breakfast yet. It's way too early for that for me. What did you eat for breakfast? Good morning. Hey, we're gonna do this differently. As you probably, a lot of you know and remember, I started this asking a lot of people questions. What would a morning show look like to them? What would they want? You know, they said real and relevant and just a long list. And frankly, I tried that. And by asking people to bring me topics, I would dig into those topics and I would kind of talk about those topics, and all you did was hate on it anyway. And so I'm going to do my thing. If you want to be here, fantastic. Thank you for being here. If you don't, shut the front door, go to the neighbors, and you can bother them. So today we're going to talk about the 4 R's of life. Now, there's a dozen years ago, I had a terrible, terrible, terrible year, as many of you know. And so I have been very purposeful since then to just do a lot of different things. And so what I have is, and this is probably something that I came across at some point and sort of just put it in my journal. My journal is very discombobulated. It's in a couple different places, but I do write a lot of things down, a lot of different notes and things. And so I sort of organized this number of years ago, and in and on paper, and I've even talked about it in the past. And so the 4 R's of life: reset. We'll talk about that right now. So the first thing is that, like, we have to reset. And what I do is I do that every day. And it's kind of gotten to be a subconscious thing for me at this point. And one of the things is to take time to clear your mind. I do different things in the morning. I play with the dogs. I read some scripture. I do some prayer. Just really think about what my day looks like, what I want it to look like, how I'm going to make it look. That's one of the things, or a couple of the things that I do literally every day. And I really hate to be disturbed. And I don't look at my phone. I don't do any of those things until I've gone through that process to reset. And that is daily for me. I mean, that might not be the case for you, but reset. Take some time to clear your mind. Maybe that's a movie. Maybe for you, it's yoga. Maybe it's going for a walk, going to the gym. You know, like I mentioned, I do prayer, but do something very intentionally to reset your mind. It's extremely important. That's the first step. Second one is to reset. Might be a little bit bigger. It might be something that you have to then physically reset yourself by removing yourself physically from a situation, from a place, or whatever. That's not easy to do necessarily. However, I do believe that it's very important depending upon what level of kind of reset you're looking for. So reset your mind, your head, your brain, basically, and then physically you need to reset by removing yourself from it. It could be as big as a vacation, like an intentional vacation, not one to be super busy where you can't have that real physical reset, but very intentional. Maybe it's a day trip. Maybe you go to the museum so that you physically remove yourself. Maybe it's a favorite restaurant or whatever for you, but that's one of the other things too, that to start a reset is to physically remove yourself. So number 2 out of the 4 is readjust. I really like what Albert Einstein said, and what I have in the first thing in readjust is change the way you approach problems. We all have problems. You've probably heard me say, if you've hung out with me for a while, that there's one problem that we have to work on and deal with at a time, but there's multiple solutions around that one problem, meaning that we can do different things to attack the problem from different angles and different perspectives. But Einstein had said we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Let that sink in a second. I'm going to say it again. Albert Einstein. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Yeah, it's good stuff. And it's hard stuff. We create most of our problems. We must use different thinking to get out of those problems, period. I'm a massive advocate of that. And I really try to do it myself. Not always successful, but I really try to do that myself. The second part to do a readjust would be to remove negative options, is what I call it. And so what I would say is negative, though, is a little bit subjective, and meaning that one person's negative might not be another person's negative necessarily. It could be, that someone might say it's removing a negative option would be like going to a restaurant once a week. That might be a negative thing in someone's mind for their budget, but in another person's mind, that's something that we talked about before in a reset, is to kind of recharge, and so it's worth that budget. So that's a messy thing, and you have to decide what that is. But what I would say is choose wisely on that, how to remove negative options. The third part of a readjust for me is to use a different saw. Now, some of you that are here probably have known me for a while. Some of you maybe not, but for 20 years, I built custom wood furniture and had a business that had done that. This piece of furniture that you see right here is actually a piece that I built and was a prototype and things a long time ago. And so use a different saw. There's jigsaws and table saws and saber saws and hand saws, lots of different saws that are available to use. If one saw isn't working on the project, or if you know it's not going to work, readjust and use a different saw. You don't have to come at something with the same tool in order to readjust something. You might simply have to choose a different saw. And then number 3 is restart. And the first thing under restart I have is let go, change projects. So restarting usually will mean that we must let something go when we restart. It's pretty rare that in order to get that restart, number 3 in the 4 R's, that we would be able to take everything with us. There are some things we just have to let go, leave them where they are, and then move forward, change projects. So change projects is just kind of terminology. Of course, I hope and I am sure that you understand the idea behind that, changing projects, and kind of what I mean by that. The second part of restart would be to phone a friend, is what I call it. Tell someone that you trust, might not be a friend, but someone you trust, what areas you're restarting, right? Like tell them where you need some accountability help. And that's super important in that restart process. Otherwise, we're really going to get sucked back into some of those things. Restarting requires an attitude change, period. I will die on this hill. I will absolutely die on this hill. You need to change your attitude before you can restart anything. It's a requirement. It's crucial. If we go into something with the same attitude as we did before, and I mean really the attitude, and you know what I'm talking about. But if we don't change that, just don't even try anything, We really have to change our attitude on that in order to restart. Then number 4, refocus. Focus on the present. In order to refocus, I think that most of the time it's really, really easy to focus on things that are not present. Focus on the future is easy because we don't know what it is, and it can be a fantasy or anything. But it's my opinion that one of the most depressing things that we could ever do in our life and in our mind is to focus on the past, especially the past that we absolutely cannot fix. That we can't fix it in the present. If we can't fix it in the present and we're focusing on that past, I think it's a very depressing thing. And I really believe that that's where depression lies, is in focusing on those things in the past. So put your focus on the present. Where are you at right now? Put your focus there, and then everything else can kind of fall into place. Part 2 of refocus would be to seize the best part of your day. Now, look, was it a bad day or was it a bad 5 minutes? That's something that's very important, I think, that we need to understand in order to seize the best parts of our day. We're going to, each and every one of us, have bad parts of the day, and we're going to have good parts of the day. Seize those good parts. And then the third one on number 4 of refocus is identify what does not deserve your attention. Now, this can be a tough one when a person is involved. You don't necessarily, you know that they don't deserve your attention, but you don't necessarily want to not give them your attention. But make a list of what deserves your time and make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then start. It's really crucial in refocusing to start taking those things that do deserve your time and don't deserve your time, and you know that. And so if you have that list of what does deserve your time, you'll do those things first. You'll put your time into that first, and then after that, you'll be able to really even decide if it deserves your attention, or maybe by that point that has on its own organically just knocked itself off and you don't have to worry about it at all. So that's it for today. Those are my 4 R's of life. And so I think that if we do those things, we can really enjoy our days. We can enjoy our life. It's a very simple thing, a very simple method, but reset, readjust, restart, and refocus. And I will see you tomorrow morning on Valentine's Day, the 14th of February already. Wow. See you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me. Oh, by the way, hey, if you think that this was worth it or worthy to, hammer the like button, or, hammer the share button, or leave a comment or whatever, like anything like that. If you think it's deserving of that, I would appreciate it. And I hope that you enjoyed it. We'll see you tomorrow.
You know what I just saw?
Who is this guy?
I call myself Podcast because of my podcast.
I have exorcised the demons. This house is clear.
So it's done.
It's done.